Paja walked me through one of the images in the book of Revelation. In the book of Revelation, you see the whore of Babylon on the back of the beast that represents the state, this multi-headed beast. So the multi-headed beast is sort of a degenerate version of the unity of the state. It started to deteriorate, so now it sprouts multiple heads, right? Diversity heads, you might say, right? Right, and I mean that in some real way, because if the state isn't unified, it's fragmented. And a fragmented beast has multiple heads, and the heads can fight. So there's the demented state. On top of the demented state, on its back, is the whore of Babylon. And so the way that we've read that is that when the patriarchal structure deteriorates, so when masculinity itself becomes corrupt, the corruption of femininity accompanies it.
He's 100% right. He's 100% right, guys. When masculinity becomes corrupt, femininity also becomes corrupt. Why? Because that's the natural order. God, men, women, child. Men lead, women follow. So when the leaders become corrupt, the follower will also become corrupt, guys. All right? He's taking the imagery in the Bible from the book of Revelation of the beast and the whore to explain what happens when the patriarchy, aka masculinity, becomes weak and corrupt. And he's saying that when masculinity becomes corrupt, guess what? Femininity accompanies it by also becoming corrupt. Okay? The whore on top of the beast represents the corruption of femininity, according to Jordan Peterson's analogy. Now, if you guys don't know, the prophecy Jordan Peterson is talking about can be found in the Bible, in the book of Revelation. I think it's chapter 17, where an angel takes John the Elder. That's his name. John the Elder is the author of the book of Revelation. So the angel takes John and shows him the punishment of the great prostitute whose kings of the earth committed fornication with. All right. The beast in this prophecy represents the kings, which is, of course, the state. Jordan Peterson is absolutely right when he says the corruption of masculinity is what leads to the corruption of femininity. And this also agrees with the natural order stated in the Bible, which I mentioned earlier, which is God, man, women, child. Since men are the leaders, once the leaders become corrupt, the follower will also become corrupt. That's only logical. That's only logical. And to be honest, that's exactly what happened to the Western world. Let me just give you guys a brief, quick historical summary about what happened to the Western world. Okay, the European Western kings and queens in the 1600s wanted to separate from the rule of the Catholic Church. They were tired of the Catholic Church being in charge of the state. Eventually, they managed to do this, and this led to the separation of church and state in the Western world, which is what, by the way, gave birth to secularism. If you guys don't know, secularism just means without religion. All right, so religion is no longer in charge of making laws of the state. Okay, so outside of the rule of the Catholic Church, under the movement of the Enlightenment period, secularism started to produce ideologies like atheism. Atheism came about around mid-1800s via the theory of evolution. Okay, the idea that we've evolved from apes. Feminism, I think that came. Feminism came late 1800s. Marxism, secular humanism. You guys get the idea. Wokeism, LGBTQ. Personally, I think these are the 7 heads of the beast that Jordan Peterson is actually talking about. All right, let's continue the reaction.
And the destruction of femininity is something like the disinhibition of female sexuality. Maybe it's transformation into a marketable commodity. That's a good way of thinking about it. You can think about that in terms of OnlyFans and online pornography and all of that immediate or even the selling of women in short-term relationships for sexual purposes. Women can sell themselves just like pimps can sell them. And so there's this correspondence between the beast, the patriarchal beast destabilizing, and then the feminine destabilizing. And of course it has to be that way because one sex can't destabilize without the other. Now, what's cool about this?
He hit the nail on the head, guys. He really did. It's true. The corruption of masculinity that led to the corruption of femininity started with secularism. After that, it was literally the beginning of the end for masculinity. Men outside of Christian leadership allowed ideologies like feminism to be planted and grow. I hope you guys by now know that it was feminism that legalized the pill and abortion and told women that sexualizing themselves was empowering. I hope you guys know that by now. All right. This is what Jordan Peterson means by the destruction of femininity being the disinhibition of female sexuality. Sexual empowerment in the 70s has now turned into what? Online porn, slut walks, OnlyFans, short-term relationships, the decline in marriage. I mean, come on. Let's continue the reaction.
From a conceptual perspective, is that the beast ends up killing the whore. And so here's a reading of that, is that the power-mad state will draw you into its clutches with the promises of unbridled hedonism. Right? It says, like, you give us the power and we'll enable you to do whatever you want, right? Which means to fall prey to your short-term hedonic whims. But then the consequence of that, of course, is that the tyrannical state, once instantiated, makes any pleasure of any sort whatsoever not only impossible, but forbidden. And then one more thing on top of that.
The beast ends up killing the whore. I couldn't have said it better myself. That's what's happening, guys. That's exactly what we are seeing today. Men are becoming more and more resentful towards women's hedonistic behavior. We can see this in the manosphere. We can see it with movements like the Red Pill, MGTOW, Black Pill, etc. We can see this in the fact that men, even though they are the ones funding this hedonistic bad behavior from women, they are also not marrying women. They are also not procreating with women. On one hand, they are happy to use women for sex, okay? On the other hand, they want to punish them because they don't want to marry them. You see what I mean, guys? This means that men are happy using women for sex and they don't want to take accountability if it destroys their chances of finding a good husband who will protect and provide for them in the future. This is a testament of how much resentment men have against women, which is a symptom of how much masculinity has been corrupted. On one hand, you want to use women for sex. On the other hand, you don't want to deal with the consequences that comes with promiscuous women. And you don't want to deal with it because the way you don't want to deal with it is you don't want to marry them. Feminism has even made a pathway due to its idea of equality for men to enter women's sport and take over it. These are all examples of the beast killing the whore. The beast representing corrupt masculinity and the whore corrupt femininity. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed the reaction. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the Solution Podcast. All right? Peace. See you next time.